You just unloaded a shotgun into 3 strangers on a Vice City street, and you feel great, loose, almost relaxed. For 50 years, there's been a comfortable explanation for that feeling: catharsis. The idea that letting your aggression out in a safe, fictional space drains it, like opening a pressure valve. Ancient Greeks used the word for tragedy. Freud built an entire model of the mind around it. And when GTA 6 launches with a confirmed mature rating, blood, gore, the works, that's the story most people will reach for. It's harmless. It's just venting. Here's the uncomfortable part. The actual research on catharsis is not kind to that theory. In fact, a lot of it says the opposite is happening. So if it's not catharsis, what is actually going on in your brain when GTA 6's violence feels this good? That's this video. We're going to do this in an unusual order. First, we kill the theory you already believe. Then we replace it with 4 mechanisms that are better documented, less flattering, and honestly more interesting. Because they're not about release. They're about permission, mastery, arousal, and framing. None of them require you to be a violent person. All 4 are running on you right now, whether or not you've ever touched a controller. The catharsis hypothesis says something specific: acting out aggression in a safe context, yelling into a pillow, playing a violent game, discharges the aggressive impulse, like draining a tank. Aristotle used it to explain why tragedy felt good to watch. Freud turned it into a hydraulic model of the psyche. Pressure builds, and it has to go somewhere. It is one of the most intuitive ideas in psychology. It is also, according to the evidence, mostly wrong. Decades of experimental work point the other way. Acting aggressively, even in fiction, tends to prime more aggressive thoughts and behavior afterward, not less. The scientific consensus, as far as consensus exists in this field, leans hard against the venting model. So why does almost every habitual player insist that games help them let off steam? A 2021 study gives us the likely answer. It's not that aggression goes down, it's that mood goes up. Players finish a session feeling better overall, less stressed, more relaxed. And their brain misreads that general mood lift as I got my aggression out. Feeling good gets mistaken for venting. It's a real effect. It's just not the effect people think it is. Which means the actual question was never how does violence release tension. It's what's really making you feel good when nothing was actually released. Psychologist Bandura spent decades studying how ordinary people give themselves permission to do things they'd otherwise consider wrong, a set of mental moves he called moral disengagement. Reframe the act, dehumanize the target, diffuse the responsibility. Media researcher Hartmann adapted this directly to violent games. His model shows that games constantly feed you disengagement cues. The people you're shooting are criminals. They shot first. They're barely characters at all. Every one of those cues quietly tells your conscience, this doesn't count. And critically, researchers found that enjoyment peaks precisely when a player can commit virtual violence and stay morally disengaged at the same time. Excitement and power with the guilt switched off. Vice City is built entirely out of these cues. Rival gangs, corrupt cops, career criminals shooting at other career criminals. The game isn't just letting you be violent. It's doing structural work to make sure you don't feel bad about it. But moral permission alone doesn't explain the rush. Feeling okay about something isn't the same as feeling good about it. For that, we need the next lever. In 2009, researchers Andrew Przybylski, Richard Ryan, and Scott Rigby ran a set of studies asking a deceptively simple question. Is violent content in games satisfying because it's violent, or for some other reason entirely? Their answer, grounded in self-determination theory, was the latter. What predicted enjoyment wasn't the violence itself. It was whether the violence let players feel competent, skilled, effective, good at something, and autonomous, in control of their own choices. Strip the violence out, but keep the competence and freedom, and satisfaction barely changes. Keep the violence, but strip out the sense of mastery, and it stops feeling good at all. That headshot in GTA 6 doesn't feel great because someone got hurt. It feels great the same way sinking a three-pointer feels great, because you did something hard, cleanly, on purpose. Violence in most games is just the vehicle carrying that feeling. The bullets are almost incidental, except mastery alone is a quiet, controlled kind of pleasure. What you feel in the middle of a shootout is not quiet, it's a spike, and that spike has its own separate explanation. Your body doesn't have very many settings. Heart rate up, breathing fast, adrenaline in your system. That physiological state is nearly identical whether you're afraid, angry, or thrilled. What decides which emotion you label it as is context. This is excitation transfer. Leftover physiological arousal from one moment gets carried into the next and relabeled based on what happens right after. Survive the firefight and that same racing heart gets filed as exhilaration. Win and the arousal reads as triumph. The intensity was never really about the violence. The violence was just the fastest way to spike your arousal high enough for the payoff to feel enormous. This is also why a botched, sloppy shootout feels merely stressful, while a clean, successful one feels euphoric. Same nervous system response, completely different label depending on the outcome. So now you're getting permission from moral disengagement, mastery from competence, and a chemical high from excitation transfer. There's one more dial, and it's the one that changes how all three of the others feel, sometimes without you noticing. Researchers ran a version of this exact test. Give players the mechanically identical scenario, shooting, but change who they're told they are. Play as a gang member shooting police officers, and players report meaningfully more guilt. Play as a police officer shooting gang members, same violence, same targets in reverse, and the guilt drops. Nothing about the moment-to-moment action changed. Only the story wrapped around it did. That's narrative framing, and it's the dial every open-world game turns constantly, deciding, scene by scene, whether you're the hero, the anti-hero, or just a monster, and adjusting exactly how much your conscience is allowed to object. Vice City's writing has always specialized in this, giving you protagonists who are criminals, sure, but likable ones, funny ones, ones the story keeps justifying right up until the triggers pull. That framing isn't decoration, it's load-bearing. Change it and the exact same bullet feels completely different. Now put all four of these on the table at once. None of what you feel when GTA 6's violence lands is catharsis. There's no pressure valve, no drained tank. What's actually happening is four separate systems stacking on top of each other. The game gives you moral permission to disengage, rewards you with a hit of competence and control, spikes your arousal and lets the outcome relabel it as euphoria, and wraps the entire thing in a story that decides how guilty you're allowed to feel. That's a more complicated answer than it's just venting. It's also the honest one. You don't feel good because something got released. You feel good because for a few seconds the game made you feel permitted, skilled, powerful, and justified, all at once. That combination was never going to be explained by a pressure valve. If this changed how you think about that, I just needed to blow off steam feeling, drop a like and subscribe, because next time we're leaving the psychology of your reactions and going straight into the map itself, why GTA 6's open world is built to trigger obsession before you've even left the first city block. I'll see you in the next one.